What's up YouTube, Awesome Yuga here, and today I'll be doing a little recap of YCS Bochum, which I attended last weekend. I'll be showing you the deck that I ran. I'll be telling you a bit about my experience, and I'll be opening my entry packs up real quick. In general, a good friend of mine got third place, by the way. Congratulations to him. Really cool, and we actually played kind of a similar deck. Some choices, we made some different choices, but we both played each little Star Seraphs. Congratulations to the eventual winner, Luca Cittoni, I believe. And I'll be just in general, the YCS was really good for me. I mean, everything went really smooth. Day one took pretty long, but not as long as some of the previous YCSs took. I believe there were 1,100 something people, between 1,100 and 1,200, so it was relatively big. Judges were really cool. There were quite a bit of people that I know in the top cut. Definitely in day two, but also in the top cut. Another acquaintance of mine got top 16. So the Netherlands, I'm from the Netherlands, so we represented ourselves pretty good, I think. And the venue, it was a great venue. We had a incredibly big room, just one room in which everything was held, main event and side event. So yeah, that was really cool as well. Just like I said, the general, how everything went, it was really smooth. So yeah, let's start with these packs real quick. Secret's Attorney, of course. I still don't like this set. Was kind of thinking about picking some Italian packs, but whatever. Just went with English because I'm still looking for a monolith, actually. So if I can pull that, I'd prefer to have it in English. It's just easier. So nothing yet. I'm not expecting to pull anything, to be honest. I never really do anything when I get like a couple of random packs, nothing in that as well. I need those guaranteed ratios to actually pull something. Void Launcher, which is a terrible card. And just supers in general are absolute garbage right now because they all got mass reprinted like 2 months after release, if that. Oh, we got a secret Soul Transition. That's actually pretty good. Because I only own 2, so it's cool to have a playset. And there are first edition, so Soul Transition and Void Launcher, Soul Transition, it's actually a cool pool. So yeah, let's go into deck profile now, and then I'll talk about some of my matchups. I did actually make day 2, I don't know if I said that before, but I made day 2 with an X2-1 record. So pretty much I knew I had to win everything in day 2 to actually make it to the top 32. Or at least, to be honest, I didn't think that was even possible if you went into with 2 X2-1, so 2 losses, 1 draw into day 2. But a friend of mine and some other guy I played actually told me that there was a relatively good chance of some X2-1s making it to the top 32. And in the end, actually, 2 of the 5 people that went X2-1 made it into the top 32. So yeah, it was a good decision for me to play day 2, but I did lose a match, making it completely impossible for me to make it to the top 32. But it was cool making it to day 2 to begin with. So for the deck profile, I was running Seraph Shaddoll, Triple Scepter, Triple Sovereignty. I only saw the combo once, even though I am running Call of the Haunted, which could make this more consistent, but I was pretty unlucky with how I drew. I didn't drew some of the floodgates or cool combos you would like to do. Pretty much both days, in general, I only saw a lot of Shaddoll cards, which is okay, but it's not really as advantageous as this deck could be right now. How it can be to actually be a better deck than it was like right after Duelist Alliance. But yeah, I pretty much had to play it the entire weekend as if it were just released after Duelist Alliance. You know, I would play back then. But these cards are extremely good, definitely better in Shaddoll than they are in Talonites. To be honest, I actually wouldn't even be running these in Talon Knights, because in Talon Knights you want to use your normal summon for just a Teller monster. But going Scepter, adding a Sovereignty, baiting out like breakthrough skills, Phoenix Chains, Evac Veilers, and chaining Elsadil Fusion to go into Construct, that on its own is a good play. And then you get these dead cards in your hand, which is fine. If you have two, you can normal summon one, special summon another, draw a card, and then once again, you can use them with Elsadil Fusion. Just as lights, they're pretty good. 1800 is nothing to laugh at as well. So definitely we'll keep these in the deck, and maybe at some point I can actually open like this, but yeah, probably not. So those, then to the Shaddoll monsters. I ran triple Squamata. This is your enabler. This enables your entire deck, and I always want to see Squamata in my hand. This is just the best card to fuse with, because it's any other Shaddoll monster pretty much. You can always get to anything, something else. 1800's nothing to laugh at. Like I said, against with the Scepter against Necros, this is just a spellcaster, which is really good with something like side deck, which we'll see later on. Squamata, definitely the best Shaddoll, because it tutors everything. 2 Velko. So the guy who got third place was running, I believe, 2 Squamata and then triple Velko. Like I said, Squamata is going to be a Velko if need be. So, but it can also be everything else. So I definitely feel like you at least should run triple Squamata. But Velko is a card that puts down a lot of pressure against Necros. 2 Hedgehog, 2 Beast, just the 1 Dragon. I'll put this up a little bit. Putting me at, I believe that is 11 Shaddoll monsters. So Hedgehog pretty good against certain matchup, being able to just set that and get access to Shaddoll Fusion or else Shaddoll Fusion. Beast, of course, will allow you to draw cards, which can be really relevant if you didn't see anything of your side deck. Never really helped me, because mostly when I drew off of a Shaddoll Beast, I just saw another fusion, but at the time you're drawing off of Shaddoll Beast, you already have fusions, because you probably send this with a fusion, or for a fusion. And when there's fusion in your grave, you pretty much always have access to fusion, but I bricked fusions like a lot. I constantly got 2-3 fusions in my hand, or just 5 Shaddolls. But yeah, I mean, it's not an unplayable hand, because that's a main reason why I didn't pick Necros for the main event. Shaddoll never really gets unplayable hands. Even if you draw all these monsters, you can just put down an 1800 beater. And when I was playing Necros, even though the deck is more consistent in general, you know, you don't get as bricky hands as often. When my opponent were to flip Mistake or summon a Thunder King or anything of that nature, I never drew an out. I was playing like 11 outs at some point in the side deck, game 2, game 3. But I was never allowed to play Yu-Gi-Oh! When my opponent were to flip just one mistake. And I lost, because if you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! You're going to lose. So that's the main reason I didn't pick Necros for the main event, because I'm just not the guy that is able to drawn out when you're not allowed to play anything. I know from personal experience that's just not going to happen, and I decided to just deal with it, settle for it, and just not play the deck and go with, which is generally a not as good of a deck as Necros Shaddolls, but now I could actually play Mistakes, for example. So in theory, I should be able to have a better matchup against Necros, for example, and not be hurt again with the cards that other people use against Necros. And then the 1 Dragon, popping back row isn't that relevant. You do have the flip effect, but I'm already running triple Squamata, so with these 4 monsters you already have 4 Jin outs. I'm also playing Raigeki, so that's another Jin out. And I'm playing Cerberus, which is another Jin out. So for the flip effect, Dragon wasn't that relevant. I rather destroy a Colossus, put it engraved, and put it back in their hand so that they can put it in engraved but get a search out of it. So I definitely felt like the 1 Dragon was fine. 1900, it doesn't matter if you're 1900 or 1800 in the Necros matchup, because their only normal summons are 14 or 1700. So the 1900 doesn't really matter as well. So that's it for the Shaddoll monsters. Then of course you have your triple Mathematician, which I did see quite a bit. Actually, I saw a good amount of Mathematician. The only problem is that I never really opened them, but I drew into them. But that makes it less viable. But I mean, all right. It did draw some failures as well. At which point you could go El Shaddoll Fusion, go into Shekanaga. That's a card I did saw a lot. El Shaddoll Fusion. I pretty much saw 3 El Shaddoll Fusion selects every game. Which of course you only wanted to really see one, but I mean, okay, at least I saw them. And then the Parapara Cerberus. This card's ridiculous. This is such a reliable card. I drew this all the time and never got to really dump it. But even if you draw it, it's 1800 defense. You can set it. They will think it's a Shaddoll card and just attack it. None of your Shaddoll cards have more than 1400 defense, so they can they try to poke it with like a Senju or Manju. They get some damage. You can still use it for a Shaddoll Fusion to get into Shekanaga, which once again is a problematic card for Necros. And then at a point where it gets into the grave, people just forget about it. They don't think about this because it's a relatively new card. People weren't really prepared for Shaddoll, probably. And you can use it at any time you like. Just let it sit there in the grave, let it be there, and like after 3 minutes in the game, all of a sudden you start to banish this when your opponent starts to overextend, or maybe have an emptiness phase up on the field, and get rid of some problematic cards for you. So Cerberus definitely was a great card for me. Then Triple Effect Wheeler. Another live target. You can ditch it with Mathematician to make BLS live, which is the last monster I ran. And just of course, against Necros, this card is really good. Being able to negate Trishula, being able to stop Lavalval Chain so they can't even Jinlock you, or being able to stop Valkyrus. And then the BLS. Only got to use this twice in the entire tournament, in the entire weekend. Once I actually ripped it, but I was in a winning position anyway, and the other time I lost it to a hand. I played against Volcanics, and he was setting shells, so I was in the... I thought he was like breaking immensely. He was setting a shell, paying the 500, setting another shell, and at that point I was able to drop the BLS and thought the third shell was set, so I can push for game with the BLS. Getting 3000 in directly would have been game, but at that point it was a fire hand, and I really did not see anyone see that coming, because I just siding the hands against Shaddoll in general is terrible, you know. But he did side in the hands against me, and I got completely off guard. I lost my BLS. He got the ice hand, and he actually fought me to a draw at that point, because he was at 28. I only got one Squamata in later in the game, putting him at 1200. But he used Catashot like 3 times, so I was, at the end of the duel, I thought I was settled. He had a hand of like 5 cards, 2 back row, 1 being the Blaze Accelerator, and I had a Velko and Crush Card Fire Shuttle Core. I was at 1200 life, he was at, no sorry, he was at 1200 life, I was at 1700 life. At the Velko set, I used Crush Card to get rid of any monsters he might have had. I didn't want to. Didn't want him to recycle his stuff in the grave to be able to draw for Blaze Accelerator with like the 1700 guy, and I still had the Shaddoll Core to make sure I didn't get any damage. But he actually lost nothing in hand, and his only card in hand was an Ice Hand. So he summoned the Ice Hand, attacked, putting me at 300. But I had the Shaddoll Core, of course, not taking any damage, so I was pretty much set up for the game. But he flipped the Emptiness and got the 1400 in on his last turn, putting me at 300 against his whatchamacallit, against his 1200. So I drew that game. It wasn't a game I should have lost, but I probably just I didn't make the right decision in the end, I guess. But if he were to summon the big guy and scattershot me, being able to put back his scattershots and, you know, draw on the scattershot or something, I felt like this was how I was more safe. I put myself in a position in which I had more control. But yeah, that's just games that I lose when I do what's best, and then they draw the card which is more of a viable, you know, which shouldn't really come up, but it did. So yeah, it happens. Because earlier on in the game, he already used his 2 fire hands and didn't summon another ice hand. So I felt like he was having 2 fire, 2 ice, but he had 2 fire and triple ice hand because he didn't summon the last ice hand since it was in his hand already. But yeah, I mean, that's just saying that shouldn't really happen. But when it happens to me. But yeah, those are the monsters. Then the spells: double Shaddoll fusion, triple Shaddoll fusion. Now double Shaddoll, like I said, I break these cards like a bitch. Having like this in hand a lot, or at least this. And I only had the Shaddoll fusion when they weren't usable, because against Necros this card isn't that good. You have to summon from your hand. And later in the game, you don't really have that much resources in hand anymore. El Shaddoll Fusion is a lot better since you can use the fusions you already have in your opponent's turn. This is just a lot better than this. This isn't really worth it playing at 3, unless you're playing like against B8, and this is a bigger card that can be a bigger blowout. But I didn't really expect to see a lot of BA, and I didn't play any BA or any Satellis for that matter. So cards in which this could be a bit better, but against Satellar it really isn't, because they can pretty much make diamonds. So then this is useless as it is. I mean, it could get you construct at least, and constructs can get rid of diamond. But it's just not relevant enough to play 3. Definitely not in the main deck at least. So the 5 fusions, there were definitely plenty. When I didn't see him, I just didn't see him, but when I saw them, I saw a lot. So if I were to have played 6, I probably couldn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! All day. And then Foolish, which is a great card. I actually saw this like 2 or 3 times in my opening hand, which is really good. And the Raigeki as another Jin out. Then for the traps, triple mistake. Half of the matches I played were Necros, and my only 2 losses in day 1 were against Necros. In general, you have, definitely with the emptiness, you have an incredibly good Necros matchup, but you have to get game 1. You like to see mistake, but definitely game 2. I have like 9 or 11 cards against Necros, but in all my Necros matchups, I just didn't see any of these early on in the game. I drew into some of those, but then it was completely irrelevant because I had games already. You want to see these cards early on, definitely the side deck cards I'm using. And I just didn't see it, so that allowed the Necros player to actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! And beat me, because like I said, Necros in general is a better deck. 2 at least. The other 2 I could beat. One because he didn't really have any resources, and the other one because I could, he didn't have any resources, I could just beat him down. And the other one, I'm not quite sure. I believe because I actually resolved one of my side deck cards. But then against like the volcanic guy, I drew like a triple mistake, or 2 mistake game 1, triple mistake game 3. Or I played 2 volcanics, so double mistake against the one, and then another mistake against the other one. And against the Evil Storm matchup I played day 2, I drew double of these as well. So game 1. So yeah, that was really unfortunate. I didn't saw the mistakes in the matchups in which I wanted to see them. Of course, against the Evil Storm and the volcanic, I just sided it out. And I played 2 mirror matches as well, which I both won, because the mirror match is a really skill intensive matchup, and pretty much the better Shaddoll player is always going to win the mirror match, because the difference between breaking any Shaddoll mirror match of having the best possible opening hand in the Shaddoll mirror match, the difference isn't that big, in which you can really just completely blow your opponent out. So even though my opponents had the better hands, I was able to win those pretty easy. I 2-0'd both of them. But game 1 I was seeing mistakes again, which is really annoying. It's just annoying, you know, knowing that these cards are in your deck and you're not drawing them against the Necros, and every other matchup you're drawing them. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, on paper, this could win you every Necros matchup. Definitely post-siding. 2 Sinister Shadow games. Shaddoll Core, and then the 2 Call of the Haunted, which I said in the beginning. Call of the Haunted was absolutely amazing. I didn't see them as much as I probably would have liked. But Shaddoll with Scepter, if you just normal summon a Scepter and it goes to the grave, whether it be by El Shaddoll Fusion, or just your opponent destroying it by battle, or card effect, whatever. And Call of the Haunted him back after you already resolve 1 search. That's guaranteed 2 sovereignties, 2 chairs in your hand, allowing you to make Ouroboros or Deltaros. Like I said, I only made Ouroboros once, made Deltaros once, the only 2 times I could actually go into and make the entire play in an entire weekend, which is ridiculous. If you just do the math, that's definitely with this Call of the Haunted, it's way too low. But yeah, I guess if someone is like opening Scepter Chair all day, then someone ever has to see it, you know, to balance it out. And I usually am that person. Shaddoll Core, definitely the MVP. Shaddoll Core is absolutely stupid. I think Core was definitely my favorite card in the deck. After Squamata. Squamata is the best card. But after Squamata, definitely Shaddoll Core. So that is the main deck. That's 40 cards, of course. Might touch on something a little later on. Then we have the extra deck. Triple Construct. I use Triple Construct a lot. If you could play 4, I might actually consider playing 4. Double Shekinah. You definitely need double. I made this card almost as much as Construct. Great card against the Necros Mirror Match. Double Winda, another card that possibly I could see myself running at a 3, but you just have a you just need to make some room, and you don't have that much room in this deck. Leo made it like twice. Great card, of course, with Construct Winda. Black Rose, never used this. Arcanite, never used this in the main event. These are my 2 level 7s. I didn't go with Armades or Goyo since I felt like the matchups in which they were good or decent, which pretty much is BA for Armades. It's like semi-usable against Necros, but felt like Black Rose would be a better card against Hela, which is a worse matchup. Same with Arcanite, and I never really saw myself going into a level 6 or 5, and I did use 7s a bit more often, but actually I didn't end up using any of these. The Ouroboros and the Deltaros, this is of course for your stick chair combo. Made both once. This actually straight up won me the game, and yeah, with the Ouroboros I just had game eventually as well. Axiton never made this, Castel never made this, Dweller never made this, so yeah, I didn't make a lot of the rank 4s or at all. Just Ouroboros, Deltaros once. Synchros, I only used the Leo, and for the rest I fused a lot. Because like I said, I did have a lot of fusions all day, so I fused a lot. And then some tokens. Side deck. Now, here's where we go in. Like, alright, I sided the 1 Thunder King, sided this in against the 5 Necros matches I had. Never saw it. And I actually went to game 3 every single... no, I 2-0'd 1. Yeah, I 2-0'd 1. So in 4 other Necros matchups, I went to game 3. So this was in 2 games always. Never saw it. And even though 2 of those Necros matchups, which both that I lost went into overtime, and I lost on damage. Like, yeah, you know. So, and then most of the time I had like 12 cards left in deck, and I still never saw the Thunder King. But yeah, I guess, you know, it happens. 2 Denko Seka never came in because I didn't play anything in which I wanted to board. Oh, no, I'm lying. I boarded it in against Volcanics and Evil Swarm. But no, I never saw these, so that's why I probably thought I didn't board. Never saw these. I never really saw anything of the side deck, to be honest. This Maxi, I think I boarded this in once, but didn't saw them. I probably boarded this in against. Might have boarded this in again. I think. Let me think. I think I boarded this in against Shaddoll and actually did see it once. but I'm not sure, so I might not have, but I feel like I did. Then the 2 Secret Village of Spellcasters. Now this card, in theory, should blow out the Clifford matchup and the Necros matchup. Now I didn't play any Cliffords, so that's fine. Clifford actually is a good matchup as it is, but yeah, I didn't see any. And against Necros, I simply did not see these. I didn't see anything for Necros, pretty much. That's really a pain in the ass, because what I could see from my opponent, they weren't playing Dance Princess, which is a way to play around Secret Village. Or for example, Typhoon, you know, the trap card that gets rid of... but people weren't playing those. So if I were to have been able to put this down, I would have won straight up then and there. But I did not see this. And that's the difference, you know, with actually topping a YCS or having to... well, or not topping. seeing the cards that can straight up win you games instead of having to ground out every game and do stupid things which you shouldn't have to do just to get some wins. But yeah, that's what I have to do. Double MST, there's no need for 3. Actually only came in against the Volcanic guy and weren't really useful the entire day. I did get Shadow Imprison Mirrors 3 times, but at that point I didn't see these, and for any other cards I wouldn't even want to use these, so only for Shadow Imprison Mirror, but when my opponent did have the Shadow Imprison Mirror I didn't see these. 2 Mirror of the Ice Barrier. This card actually did put in a bit of work, because I did see these mostly double. I never opened just one, I opened double twice. But that wasn't that bad. I mean, at one point I set a Shaddoll Hedgehog. Going first, I had to go first from my opponent, which of course I should have done as well if I was Necros. Set 3 back row, one of them being Ice Barrier, and then I kept 1 Ice Barrier in hand. Baiting my opponent into Trishula, a first turn Trish, which actually he did have the resources to do the entire play. Level Chain with a Jin Trish, but I flipped this, so he gets rid of oh no, I actually had a Falco set, yeah, because I had the Foolish Burial for Squamata Falco, so I had the Falco set. He trished me, I got rid of my Squamata, my Velco, and this in hand. I got rid of Level Chain, Trishula, 2 spells in his grave, and then a Manju and I think another Brio in hand or something. So I completely like reset the game, but he lost a lot more resources than I did, of course, and we were going into a top decking war, in which of course I have a lot more cards that put a lot of more pressure on quicker, like another Velco or Squamatas or Dragons or even the Star Scepters, which I actually sided out, so that's not really... I side out Star Scepters every time against the Star Scepters and the Call of the Haunted. By the way, Call of the Haunted also really good with Construct, of course, because Construct doesn't need to be Fusion Summon, needs to be Special Summon, so when you Call of the Haunted, they Construct card does put a lot of pressure on the board, and you get her effect as well, sending something to the grave. But yeah, these cards definitely a bit earlier on in the day, and of course I only cited this once because when they see this once, they start playing around this, and it's not any use. It's not of any use. But early in the game, these got me some blowouts. Pretty much the only card. No, I saw this as well. So Crush card. These were the only cards of the side deck I saw. And like I said, Crush card lost me 2 games actually. One against the Volcanic player, which I already said, and one against a Necros player. When I crush carded him just after he summoned Manju for Unicorn, he went Kaleidoscope, and I used Crush card at that point. And he had the Unicorn, which he lost. Then he had Clausulus and double Manju, and I think like a Cycle in hand. Cycle or Mirror, another spell. Might have actually been Rhoda. So yeah, I only got rid of the Unicorn and the Kaleidoscope, kinda, but of course, as soon as he lost the Manju, he could banish Kaleido and Unicorn. So I lost 2 cards against his 2, but 1 really doesn't count, so 2 for 1 pretty much. And yeah, that happened, I guess. And then the last 3 side cards, Triple Mind Crush, which is another card I didn't see at all. Of course, I boarded this in. What I did board in was this against Necros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you have your Emptiness and Triple Mistake. This is 13 cards, and I usually only saw 2 of this. During every Necros matchup. This was the matchup I played most. And then I boarded out this, the double call, so that's 8, and then a Evac Veiler 1. Because Evac Veiler wasn't as relevant, since I kind of wanted to get Trished, you know. And you have other measures that get rid of the Trish Law before they can actually summon it. But yeah, it wasn't supposed to be, I guess. And yeah, because I kind of oversighted for Necros, or at least on paper you might say this oversighting in general. In fact, it wasn't at all. But yeah, you might say it's a bit of an overextension. I probably should have gone up to like 35 cards, and then I might not have opened any either way, because I would have had 5 cards, which weren't good against Necros, and I would have drawn those. But yeah, I didn't really have any sight for anything else. But I felt like if I'm not playing against Necros, I'm playing either a Mirror or a Teller. And I felt comfortable enough with how my main deck was built. And definitely the mirror match, I knew I could win the mirror matches. That's just, yeah, I knew I could win the mirror matches. Teller is a bad matchup as well, but is a bad matchup. But the Star Stars really enhanced that matchup, so I felt like Burning Mist is a decent matchup as it is. It's not great, but it's decent enough. So I felt like with the Denko Sekas and Maxis, I can win from Burning Abyss, and then with the Denko Sekas and the MSTs, I might be able to win from Teller, but like I said, I only saw Evil Swarm, Volcanic, Necros, and Shaddoll. Those were the only 4 decks I saw. And then let me talk about the Evil Swarm matchup. So the guy with Evil Swarm opened Ophion, set 4, both games. And what I saw was something in the line of this. Velko, a Vec Veiler, and Shaddoll Fusion. Now I never really drew the, I never really hard drew this Shaddoll Fusion, besides my 2 games against Evil Swarm, with his Ovion on field. So this was pretty much game 1. Game 2 I actually did have the Squamata, and said the Squamata is out against Ophion. He made another Ophion on his second turn, with the Kyrkion. So one Ophion didn't have any materials, the other one had 2 materials at that point. But when he went with the attack declaration, he flipped Shadow Impressing Mirror. So yeah, I got completely mollywopped against Evil Swarm matchup. I opened like 4 to 5 Shaddolls with 1 Fusion both games, and he opened Ophion both games, and the second game with Shadow Impressing Mirror behind it. And I had like 2 turns for both those. Like I got 2 to maybe 3 turns on both those games. But yeah, once again, that happens. Yeah. So overall, I really liked the venue. I liked the event. I feel like if I were to be a bit more lucky, or a bit less unlucky rather, I don't need to be lucky, I just don't need to be as unlucky. I probably could have made it to top 32. But yeah, maybe next time. European Championship will be in Dublin, and I think I'm going to attend that. For now, thank you guys for watching, thank you guys for your continued support. If you've been to Bochum, if any of my subscribers are European. Please tell me how you did. Yeah, I'll be putting up some other videos soonish. I believe I have something recorded. I'm not sure what it is, to be honest. But I have some videos in the back. This video has been way too long. And yeah, I'll be doing some deck profiles on some things as well. I believe like Insector is still something people have requested. Maybe if you like Fire Fist, I believe. I still haven't done a Fire Fist deck profile. And yeah, the new set's coming out relatively soon. And I'll probably be picking up some boxes for those, so I'll be opening those as well. Yeah, but this is it for now. Thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!